Hello and welcome back to the House and Garden Podcast, where we'll be doing a deep dive into the products available in the House and Garden range. This time joined by Brett,
Pleasure to be back.
House and Garden brand ambassador and representative here in the UK. We're going to be talking this week about BudXL, a bloom enhancer that's earned a serious reputation amongst growers for its ability to push sugars into flowers and much more. Brett's here to break down the science, share tips on how to use it properly, and explain why BudXL continues to stand out in such a crowded market. So, hello Brett, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you getting on?
I'm very well. Good to have you back.
Oh,
As always, it's always a pleasure.
absolute pleasure.
Always. So, getting into the nitty-gritty of it, BudXL is often described as pushing sugars from the leaves and the stems, potentially, and into the flowers. Can you explain that process?
So when you provide the plant with carbohydrates, its natural response is to store them for later on. So usually its natural response is to store them in what's called the bracts, which is formations of leaves underneath the flowers.
Okay.
So what BudXL can do is it'll use enzymes to transport these stored carbohydrates, or usually glucose. So the enzyme would go into these bracts and transport the sugar through the phloem, which is like the sort of veins and arteries of the plant, transporting nutrients and other essentials to and fro where they're needed. So these bracts have the stored sugars and they'll be moved up to the flowering site. So what that'll mean is, say you're using something like a PK booster and you're increasing the weight of your flower. What BudXL will do is it will provide all the sugars that you'd need to increase the quality in turn. So all your essential oils, flavonoids, and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. I can imagine that that's like a serious thing, especially if you're adding a lot of weight onto your flowers. It's important to have at least something that then to keep the quality level.
Yeah, exactly. So, especially when it comes down to flower, pretty much in every grower's arsenal will be a PK booster. So that's increase in phosphorus and potassium than what your normal base nutrient would provide, and that's purely to increase the weight and size of your flowers.
Yep.
So like you say the amount of oil that the plant is going to produce, oil, flavonoids, all that sort of thing, it's going to be for the original weight. So that the weight that you're adding, you're stretching out those oils and terpenes across the increase of weight. So when you use a product like BudXL, something that will move those sugars and promote increases in terpenes, oils, and resins,
Yeah.
that'll stretch across. So it'll mean that the consistency and quality of your flower will be the same throughout, as opposed to being stretched and just lackluster, really, compared to others.
Yeah, it's like if you're making a sarnie, for example.
A sarnie.
Yeah. Making a butter. You got your butter. This is the oil in this analogy. Your butter. And then your bread is your flour. You've got in your head a nice Warburton's standard Warburton's slice. So you get enough butter for that. But then actually, your missus has been out and got a tiger bloomer, right long as fuck. Your butter don't spread, so you need more butter.
You're fucked, basically, is what you're telling me.
Yeah,
we call that a muffin where I'm from.
Yeah.
Don't call it a butty. Call it muffin.
A muffin? Muffins are
Sausage and egg muffin.
No, that's wrong.
It's right, mate.
That's evil. Because a muffin's like got blueberries in it, and you eat it. Like
I've even had barm cake.
Oh, that's horrible.
I don't like barm cake either, but I use muffin. But
that's terrible. Cob's acceptable.
No.
Acceptable.
No. Maybe if you're down pit.
No. It's a tear cake if I was from pit. Anyway, let's move on from butties. So BudXL, we know what it does. We know what it's for. But how is it different to other things? Because there's a lot of boosters. We've got. I mean, I think every brand has its own. What's the main difference? Why should people be using BudXL?
Okay, so you've got a couple different type of sort of flowering boosters and enhancers and that sort of thing. So one of your main ones will be a carbohydrate source mixed with tricantanol. So tricantanol will give you a marginal increase in metabolism of the plant. So it'll be churning through more nutrient, it'll be churning through more carbs, stored sugars, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it'll provide the carbohydrates. So basically it's just throwing carbohydrates at the plant and hoping they'll make it to the flowering sites.
Right.
So that's one way. Another way is you've got your terpene enhancers. They'll enhance colours and things like that. And usually they have terpenes from other fruits and veg.
Mm.
Still have terpenes from grapes or from lemons or from oranges or something like that, which is good. It works really well, but the problem you find is a lot of people, especially in this industry in indoor gardening, they're really searching for the best of the best genetics.
Mm.
They're spending money, you know, they're looking all across the globe trying to find really, really good genetics to use. So if you use a terpene enhancer that's just got a blanket terp from something like a grape or something,
Yep.
it just means that the money that you've spent on your genetics is just being masked by the enhancer that you're using, which means you could have 10 different genetics that you've gone all over the place trying to find and trying to look after, and then they all just smell and taste exactly the same.
Right, yeah, I get you.
So one of the main features of BudXL, and something that we kept really one of the most important things for BudXL, was that it enhanced what was already there. So the terpene and genetic profile that you've picked, the one that you want to grow, will be enhanced as opposed to it just being masked by terpenes from other fruits and veg.
Yeah, so when you're looking at these genetics, it's, you know, I imagine it's the flavors and the smells and things like that that you're looking to preserve from that specific.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's why you've picked it. You've picked it for a reason. Whether it be, you know, it grows the way you want it to, short and stocky. It's got that yield that you're looking for in terms of it stacks on weight.
Yeah.
Because I've had some genetics where 900,000 ppm, they're giving up. They don't want any more.
Yeah.
Whereas I've had some go all the way up to 1900 ppm and they still want more. So there's other characteristics of a genetic that might be desirable, but taste, flavor, aroma, terpene profile is a huge plus side to why you'd pick a genetic.
Yeah, because I mean, it's all about the end point, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all about that bag appeal.
Yeah. So, like, with that then, so what's happening in the plant then to make that?
So basically, the enzyme formulas in BudXL are hijacking the plant's natural responses. So the plant's natural response is to store these sugars and glucose and these carbohydrates. But we know we've give that plant a predetermined cycle of, say, 12 weeks, for example, 4-week veg, 8-week flower, week flush, something like that.
Yeah, but the plant doesn't.
So we know when the plant's going to die, but the plant doesn't.
No.
So it's storing sugars for after you've chopped it. So using BudXL, one, it'll help transport this, but two, it'll help with something called fade. So during the latter weeks of flower, your plant will naturally fade. The colours will fade. It'll go from a green to you'll start seeing yellows and oranges. Basically like autumn colours, basically.
Right.
And that's the plant fading naturally. With BudXL, and especially in combination with Top Booster, because this has active ingredients that promote that as well, it helps the plant fade. So as a grower, it's easier for you to know when the plant's at its ripest. Because it's often I see it, especially over here in England, when there's a bit of a rush, on. That I've seen plants being chopped down and they're still in summer, they're still perfectly green and they've still got a week or two left. With using BudXL and Top Booster and things like that, it'll help you know when the best time to cut down is, when the plant's at its most ripe, when the terpenes are the best they can possibly be.
I see.
And that's the perfect time to cut down. But for a new grower or someone that's, you know, messing with different genetics all the time, it can be really difficult to identify when that harvest day should be. So using these products and seeing that fade in colours and the promotion of these autumn colours of your oranges, reds and yellows, it'll just make it easier for you come harvest time.
I see. So it's got its own little clock built in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's basically telling the plant to hurry up. You know, we've only got 4 weeks left and we need to crack on, basically.
Yeah.
So that BudXL and Top Booster both achieve that.
All right then. So you've mentioned Top Shooter and shooting powder. Well, I imagine the same thing. One's dry and one isn't.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? For example, you know, because I know is it Multizyme that also has a lot of sugars in it?
So Multizyme is purely an enzyme formulation. You could see Multizyme as our vegetative enzyme and BudXL as our flowering enzyme.
Okay.
So with a vegetative enzyme, what you're really looking for is for it to clean up your root zone, basically. So throughout the cycle, you're going to have roots dying off, turning brown, and dead leaves falling into the pot, and otherwise they just sit there. Whereas with Multizyme, it's got cellulase inside. So with cellulase, it takes the cellulose that makes up the dead leaves and the dead roots, and it breaks it down into simple sugars. these sugars get transported. 1, they feed the beneficial bacteria inside your pot, and 2, they get stored. So then when you flip round and your flowers open up and you start using BudXL, there's just even more sugars for it to tap into.
Okay, so you're almost recycling the
Exactly.
parts.
Yeah, exactly.
They're gonna die and be there. You might as well as have them in.
And it'll clean it up, so the space that dead root was occupying can now be occupied by fresh, alive roots.
Yeah, new roots.
Yeah, it's cleaning up your root zone. It's providing sugars for BudXL to work, and it's keeping your root zone nice and healthy and clean as well, which is really important, especially when you're trying to promote microbial life.
Yeah, and I mean that has a knock-on effect into the whole grow, I suppose. Then
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you can keep your first bit nice and clean and healthy, then your last bit's gonna be set up for success.
And that's the thing, because that's something House and Garden really prioritizes, is, you know, making sure that you give adequate time to promote that vegetative growth.
Yeah.
In a lot of other nutrients that I've seen, you throw it in PKs like week 3, which personally House and Garden don't do. They want to build the full complete infrastructure of the plant, so that when you add something like shooting powder with a 3200 micron size, something that can get in and work instantaneously,
Yeah.
the whole infrastructure of your plant's built, you know, from roots up to the fruiting sites.
Yeah.
It's all ready to go. So as soon as you start adding that strong PK, it goes straight to work.
Yeah.
And the plant can hold that weight. So I've seen it before, you know, where you have thin, spindly arms with huge fruits on them.
Yeah.
They snap, break.
Couple of guys looking like that.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. So you want to build up the infrastructure of that plant and then be able to provide the weight so that it can support it.
Yeah. Which is probably the best way to do it, I would imagine, because you want the plant to be as happy as it can possibly be, don't you? Really?
Well, you'd fucking hope so, mate.
Yeah, and that's all. That's what it's about. What's the most common mistake growers make when using BudXL, and how can they get the best out of it?
It's hard to really make a mistake with BudXL, really. I think, you know, it's a carbohydrate source. It's something you can't really overdo in the grow room.
Yeah.
And it's an enzymes as well, so again, something you can't really overdo. However, one thing I would say is, I've noticed it a lot when working in the shop and recommending these products to people, is a common reaction I get is, but if I put more in, will it work better? And marginally, you might see a marginal increase, but you're going to get massive diminishing returns on your investment.
Yeah.
You've got to think, the dosage rates that we've set are for a reason. Biochemists and other people have looked over them and decided that this is the perfect amount of enzyme you will need. So doubling the dosage or putting more in than you'll need, you might see a marginal increase, but it's not going to justify the extra that you've put in. No. So I'd always follow the guidelines the House and Garden have set for using BudXL or the other products that we sell. Another thing of having such a long amount of time in the business is we've encountered and seen almost every growing style. Things like people using dosatrons or people using RDWC, run to waste, hand feeding in all different kinds of media. We've seen all of it. So we'll be able to provide you with the information for your exact growing style and technique. So I know, especially growers using something a bit more obscure, maybe like an RDWC, might be a bit more reluctant when it comes to using these additives and things because they don't know what the guidelines would be.
Yeah.
Whereas with House and Garden, we've seen it all before, and we have on hand biochemists that be able to help you out with your exact room, your exact growing style, genetics, whatever you throw at us, we'd be able to help you out with it.
Very nice. So speaking about systems, is BudXL better suited to certain systems, or is it?
No, I'd say you could use it across a broad range of systems. I couldn't say there's any system where it wouldn't work. I think one thing I have noticed is the vast majority of inputs in BudXL are organic. Your enzyme formulas are organic, your carbohydrate sources are completely organic. There's only a tiny little bit of nitrogen and potassium in it that are synthetically sourced, and the only reason they are there is to help transport the sugars from the bracts to the flowering sites. That's their only role.
Yeah.
So although BudXL isn't OMRI listed as an organic product because of those synthetic elements, it's virtually 99% organic.
Okay.
So a lot of growers, especially running thin line drip systems and run to waste, something like that, they'd see an organic additive and think they'd stay clear. But if you look at the consistency of BudXL, especially when you marry it with the dosage rate, which is only 1 ml per litre, which according to most flowering boosters is up there, you use barely any, and the consistency is really thin, so you can run it in any drip system, any thin line tubing, not a problem.
I think we've covered all the questions that I wanted to ask you, Brett.
Brilliant.
Thank you for coming in and helping me to answer them.
You're all good.
We've got some cool science, got some potential results that we might get from using BudXL.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's obvious to me why this product has stood the test of time. It's, you know, all the house and garden products, to be fair. Been in the business for a long time. You know your stuff. You've got scientists. You know, cool. So if you're looking to get more flavour and quality out of your flowers, BudXL is definitely worth having in your toolkit. And thank you again, Brett, for joining us.
No problem.
And thank you to the viewers for tuning in.